Manhood, brought to you in part by Lucozade and Solomon Bespoke.
This is Manhood, and we always aim to be better as brothers. And I know I said it probably last episode, depends when this one drops. But I think we've passed aiming now. I think we have achieved that we are better as brothers, and that becomes your own personal focus or directive or ambition, is to make sure that you, amongst your brothers, in whatever environment, I don't mean blood brothers, that you always aim to be better and to leave a place better. Remember, for the most part, people only remember how you make them feel and what is your legacy going to be. Today's topic, we're talking about the grass is always greener. And yes, I know we've heard that several times in several capacities, normally in a negative, where you always think something's better, and then when you get there, it's not, or your perception of that moment is lost or misaligned in certain circumstances. But no more rambling from me. To my right, Jonathan Sambrano. To his right, no, you're not seeing double. It's Joshua Sambrano. And to his right, Johanse IODK, Behavior Change Consultant. These boys, I'm going to say it, I know you're proud of your alma mater, so I'm going to say it, they both attend Fatima. Yes, they are indeed twins, so you can realize that you are seeing two different persons here. I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
Wait, are you guys a twin? Just today,
on the
walking
way.
out of school.
Yeah.
We're coming out the
are you
car,
guys
we're
a twin?
walking.
But isn't that an obvious question?
I know.
Yes,
all
and
the
it's be
time.
like, no.
No, you're dreaming.
Sometimes, yeah, I was not about to say that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when some people ask, we just be a little sarcastic. No, wake up, you're dreaming.
Yeah,
And move
You're
on.
seeing double.
Yeah, I mean, I would play all kinds of things with it if I had a twin. Like I said,
for sure.
you're right. All of a sudden we're doing different subjects and writing each other's exams. Before we get into it, what's one of the craziest things you would do, whether it be to your mom or to someone else? But your mom, I'm sure, could identify who's who. But
Craziest thing that I could probably think of is switching places for something important. So like in swimming, right, the different events that you swim. What I've thought of doing before is switching places with Jonathan so I could drop time in something else.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
So he's particularly good at breaststroke. I'm not. So if I would have to swim breaststroke event, I'd be like,
Alright, let's switch.
Yeah,
Okay,
like that.
Or I have to swim backstroke. He's better at backstroke. So in that situation, alright, let's switch kind of thing.
yeah.
But you thought about doing it, but
Yeah,
you
I've never
do it.
tried
Yeah,
it.
nah.
Every time
'Cause-
it comes to something
or
like
they
that, it's just like,
wouldn't say. We're not going to say anything.
I don't know,
Your secret safe here.
maybe, you know.
We're a
never know.
brotherhood. Nobody's going to tell
Yeah,
anybody.
You never know.
Just national TV, but I mean, who's counting? But-
Nobody's
So
counting.
when we say the grass is always greener, grass is always greener is a perception, right? Now, before we get into the meat of that, you all are twins, right? Obviously. And the life of a twin...
You just figured that out? Good.
The
Hey, now
life,
clicking, now
the,
clicking, don't
the,
worry.
the lives of a twin would be different from different people. It's like how people say always twins, right? You all get reactions or comments from people that, let's say, somebody who's not a twin wouldn't, right? What have you all understood of the world as twins that maybe somebody who is not may not see or may not understand?
That our relationship with each other is unique in the sense that we've been with each other since we were in my mother's womb. And being with each
strong
other all the time,
connection
there's a
to each
stronger
other.
connection compared to what other people have, even if they have siblings that are close together.
Okay.
It will always be different to someone like that.
Yeah, the other day
Okay.
someone was telling me, you all have such a good brotherly connection. I wish I had that connection with my own brother. It was...
Another twin, actually.
no,
from
it's
our
brothers,
school.
Levi and Gabriel. They also
Oh,
go to our
yeah.
school.
Mm.
They're brothers. Gabriel is the younger brother, and he came up to me and was like, I wish I had the relationship you all had. You all look like you all love each other and you all support each other all the time. I wish I had that with my brother. So even in that...
And it's a twin as well?
no, these
No,
are
no,
brothers.
no.
Older
But-
and
Or
younger
just brother, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
but there's
brothers.
an
So you never want to
experience.
crack him one or vice versa?
There are times. don't
Yeah,
worry,
Right.
don't worry. You get my news. You get my news.
Sometimes.
But you can't look at him and go, boy, you looking like so-and-so.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's myself,
backfire.
I can't do that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
backfire.
Backfire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find you look like I'm an egg. No, you can't.
Yeah, but as I was saying, in that circumstance, he was saying he really, because what he's observed as a this little child, he's in Form 1 right now, right? And he's looking at it and saying, this relationship, he's in awe of it because of how we communicate and act with each other. And I think anyone can tell you that. No matter what it may be, whatever
Whether in
circumstance, we stand up for each other.
Weather outside.
Yeah, we also look up for each other and stand up for each
Yeah.
other, maybe more
Do you
than
do
the
that
usual
often?
person. Yeah,
You
all the
finish
time.
finish
All
each
the
other's
time.
stuff.
Yeah,
All the time. People be like, wait, do that again? Do that again?
I always be saying the same thing, same time. Like,
Be like-
think of a color.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
And
all the time.
yeah, and people seem to think that that's one thing that I actually want to talk about as well, concerning his question as well. The perspective of a twin is one that you all are supposed to be the same no matter
Yeah,
what.
that we're not different people. With
And that we're not different
personalities.
people. You're all the same, you all look the same, you all have to be the exact same in every single circumstance and every area of your life. And that's not the case.
It's just
We
an
are-
unfair comparison sometimes. It's the pressure on you all the time sometimes.
to
You'll be
live up
like,
to a comparison or standard of
if
what
your
other
brother
people
is who's
has.
smarter? I guys question all the time. Who's smarter? Who's stronger? Who's faster? It's
Yeah.
like I don't need to compare myself to my twin all
Because
the
I'm
time.
my own unique person at the end of the day. Yes, he's my twin. Yes, we are biologically identical. But because of that does not mean I'm the same as him.
We have-
So what happens when it comes to girls now?
well,
Because
it's
you,
funny.
if you like the girl as well, you might say, well, she looked at him initially from her looks.
well,
we don't really.
So now it only comes down to personality or who get there first.
I mean, I guess,
I guess so. But
Well, in our
right
experience so far, we haven't got
they
anything
haven't
like
had
that.
any run-ins like that.
Yeah,
well,
not at all.
mainly because we don't really focus on that
Yet.
at this point of time. Correct? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
But no, not really. Haven't had a really.
I know the
negative
focus
experience
is
or
on
any
swimming and
experiences at all.
academics right now.
Yeah,
Good
that's
answer.
the
Good
main
answer.
focus.
So I just want to tell the nation that their mother is actually listening on, so they might be a bit tempered initially of what they say, but don't worry, we'll get to the we'll get the real Joshua and Jonathan coming out in a bit. So I want, as Johanse mentioned about grass is always green. It's always about perspective. We want to talk about life, what it's like, a mother's love, how you've looked at the situation, be it, your dad not being present, and how you've taken that and excelled and done something with yourself. Now you're going to Curifta.
Curifta in 2
So,
weeks, correct.
and that in itself is an amazing achievement. My son swims as well for Marlins, and so I know what it takes. Rivals what? What club? I didn't ask you all that. What club you swim?
Flying
Flying
fish.
fish.
Flying fish. Okay, so all right, go Marlins, right? So and there's a real nice rivalry when we go to the meets in Couva, etc., and the various clubs that we want to make sure that everybody, a rising tide raises all ships, and you want to make sure that everybody, bottom line, is doing their best. And the rivalry amongst clubs allows us to go and then compete regionally and internationally, as we see
Yeah, for
people
sure.
like Nikolai Blackman, Carter, George Bovell before all of them,
Carrington, a lot of
Liam
them.
Carrington.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, you need that. But the journey to that, I know firsthand how difficult it is to compete for Trinidad and Tobago just locally, right? But then to go and get to represent your country outside there means that you're good.
Yeah. You
Right.
need a
You
specific
need a
standard
certain
for it, yeah.
standard,
And
our
certain
standard is very
standards.
difficult.
And I know that in the conversation you also mentioned about that your brother does, or you would like, you're not admitting it, but you'd like for him to do breaststroke or vice versa.
Maybe.
And I once heard from Anna Roberts that, breaststrokers are born. It's not
Yeah,
something
they're not
that's
necessarily made.
Not necessarily
Correct.
made, yeah,
correct. The best breaststrokers is a natural ability inside of there.
To some
And the
and innate talent
so it's
to
not
it.
anatomy because both the same anatomy, but just
Relatively,
natural
yeah.
in
Yeah.
something that you have, whether it be the flexibility or not, that makes you indeed better at a particular stroke.
Funny that you mentioned that. There's a whole story behind that. We'll get to
Right.
that for sure.
Yeah, on breaststroke? Okay,
Yeah.
So,
About Joshua.
But I want to come back to where the grass is always greener, where growing up, what would you say, because it's all smiles now, and like we talk about the grass is greener, but nobody wants to be in an environment where their dad isn't present or present as much as you want to be. Would you say that that's had an impact on you that you, well, I mean, it would have an impact, but
Yeah.
in terms of not just subconsciously, but also in seeing the additional load, what I say, or the additional efforts your mom has to then put in? And does that give you any levels of resentment?
Well, so not really. I don't necessarily resent my father, but I have acknowledged and I appreciate my mother's effort so much more. She's doing a job of at least 4 people. Let me count it out.
Yeah,
Mother,
boy.
father, chauffeur, cook, all kind of things.
She goes above and beyond
All the time.
in all aspects, and that is one thing I will always be grateful for my mother for. And
Do you
in
show
every,
it?
every
Yes.
single thing, and I was about to get to that. And
I
in every
mean-
single thing that I do, I will show and do to the best of my ability to show that her sacrifices are not going to waste, and not to show my ability that how much I love her. Okay, you've done so much for me. This is how I know to
Repay
give
you.
back to you
Mhm.
in
Correct.
my studies and in my
My swimming.
swimming.
Like every time I swim, I always think about, okay, my mom has done so much for me.
To
Let me
even
make the
get
most
in
of
the
the
first place,
opportunity
yeah.
behind those blocks. I'm behind these blocks for a reason. She sacrificed and worked so much. Let me put my effort in the pool to show my appreciation
Correct.
for her.
I'm
And
blessed to
going
have the
curved in
mother
2
that I
weeks. So I
have.
mean, it's that
I'm sure
motivation, that
she's-
drive to go through.
Beaming with pride because just hearing this Johan say, really two gentlemen who, that the mom or just listening to them, I'm proud of the fact that you've become who you become and who you're going to become and influence others. And other young men looking on here now will certainly want to emulate that. Because a lot of times, people say they have gratitude, but they don't really express it.
through their actions.
Correct. I heard once that they say judge someone by their intention, not their action, but judge yourself by your action and not your intentions.
All right. You said you're proud of them, right? You're proud of yourself? No. I don't want to finish each other's sentences. I want individual answers.
Let Joshua speak first. Go ahead.
In my own experience.
Nah, because you said that what you speak.
No problem. I am proud of myself when I really look back at it. In retrospect, given my swimming journey so far, I've definitely gone through a lot, especially mentally, where there's... Okay, let me go to a story quickly. My first Curve 2023, Curacao. I went by myself, and I wasn't necessarily familiar with much people there. So it was harder for me to adapt. It was difficult mentally, and when I didn't perform the way I wanted to, I came down really hard on myself. And it was a struggle for me during that year of 2023, even past 2024. Even though I had success, I was like, but it's not enough. I wanted more. And now that I've matured mentally and I've matured in the sporting way I approach things, I look back and I'm glad I went through that. And I'm proud of myself for going through that and not giving up. Because there were times where I felt like, let me give up. I'm not where I should be. I'm not fast enough. I'm not good enough. And I had to sit back at time and talking with Mommy. I was like, Mommy, I don't know if this is really for me or no. And she's just like, Jonathan, you've worked this hard, you've come this far. I want you to look at who you are as a person. You are a strong child, and I want you to go forward in what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, take into consideration. And we're here now. And looking back at it, it's really something that I appreciate, and I'm proud of myself for. There's definitely been growth, and there's more growth to come for me.
Okay,
For
thank
sure.
you very much.
And similarly for me as well.
Ooh, yeah, adversity he faced, boy.
There's
I tell you,
been-
Sorry.
There's been a lot of adversity faced on my side in terms of why I am proud of who I am today. Not only in my sport, but in my development as a person myself. But let me go to the sport first. Within the sport of swimming, I have faced many setbacks, a lot of setbacks in terms of injury and sickness. And I have overcome every obstacle and hurdle placed in my way thus far. Let me take you back to 2022, where this all started for me. 2022, I made my first national team, Goodwill in Trinidad on home ground. That year, we won 10 in a row. I won with my brother, I won with my teammates. It was a real good experience. But that same year, unfortunately, in December, I tore my ACL playing football with my dad. My ACL is still torn. That crushed me as an athlete wanting to aspire to get to the next level after Goodwill. All right, I want to go curve the next year. That was my intention during that period of time, because December to January, there's kind of an off season before, not really off season, but you're still training towards the next meet. That's your goal. My goal, all right, let me try and make curve. But after that circumstance, I'm just like, wow, that might be it for me. Because when you hear torn ACL in so many other sports, you hear people, they're out, they're not going to do this again, they're not going to come back.
Is it pack your bags?
Yes, and my head was placed with a lot of doubt because of that at that point in time. But my mother was the one to get me out of it, similarly to what Jonathan said. She was like, Josh, you don't have to worry about that. You will get to this. You can do it. I know how strong you are. I can do it. Her belief in me made me believe in myself again. So even with the negative circumstance that I had with my knee being out for nearly a year, I still trained like normal. I did what I could in every circumstance, and it paid off for me, because after 2023, I started my second meet back actually. I qualified for Curve in 2024. So not giving up and being able to overcome adversity has made me proud of the person that I am today, and has shaped me into the young man that I am currently in how I view circumstances that other people may face and how I can help them with it as well.
Okay, I agree. That is powerful, and that is something to be proud of, because the ability to look at something different from what it is, because a lot of times that starts in your head, right?
Correct.
And I think is a gift and a curse that we have in terms of imagination, because we could imagine either the best thing or we
Or
could
the worst
imagine
thing.
the worst thing. And many times when something
It's the
happens,
worst case scenario.
we get immediately a
Yeah.
thought. So you getting injured, you could immediately think,
Pessimism. Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
it now.
But I think, in terms of grass is green and the topic of today, my perspective being shaped on my injury and surrounded behind that, and the shift to being one of, I still have something left, still have the ability to swim, I still have the ability to do so much other things. Instead of harping on what the negative was, focusing on what the positive side of a negative circumstance will always get you through it, no matter what, in any area of your life.
So when we say the grass is greener, like as you're moving forward, do you look and you think to yourself, or have there been instances where you say, I wish I had what that other person had?
Oh yeah, for sure, all the time. When you brought up the fact of a not necessarily present father, sometimes when I'm younger and when I'm looking at other families, I'm like,
When you're younger,
well, yeah,
he's so old now.
I guess, but
Look how old this guy is.
yeah, for sure. But I was saying, when I used to look at other families, I'd be like, why can't I have that too? Why am I so
It is
different
something
from
that you
everyone
desire
else?
growing up as well, considering that it's two of us and just mommy alone.
Yeah.
You just be like, wait, I wish I had that as well. But in hindsight, now I'm grateful for my circumstance, although it's not the most optimal as people would like it to be, and what I would have liked it to be. The circumstance that I have has shaped me into the young man that I am today, again, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm grateful for it.
So we're going to take a short break just now, but before we go to that break, tell me, what does that mean to you by, like you said, where your mother is the primary, the focus in your life, your heartbeat, from what I'm hearing, in terms of the person that really keeps you all grounded? What would you say, how would I phrase this? Never lost her words. I find like in this case, how would you say that has been, how does that shape your outlook on what a household looks like, what a relationship looks like?
That has shaped it to whoever steps up within the household is what shapes that to be.
Coordination and communication overall. There's going to be ups and downs, granted, with any family, but because it's just the three of us, we have to make sure and to stand up and be accountable even when we fall short. It's
In other words, let me get straight to the point. Does that affect your outlook on men?
No.
And what
not at all.
a father should look like in another family?
Because I know
No,
what a
it-
father should be like. 'Cause
exactly. It inspires me to be a better father for whenever I have
I
children.
have children in the future, correct? Because I would love to be present because I understand what it means to
To
not have
not-
that.
to
And I
feel-
wouldn't want anybody else to go through that,
Exactly.
especially my own children.
To feel as though you're missing
Eventually.
something or feeling lonely because, oh, my father's not around. But I want to be that person to show up and be that light in their life, so to speak.
You have before I go to the break, I know
No,
like you're
ask
itching,
them now, ask them when they come back.
itching to
no
say
problem.
something there. But we're going to take a short break. We're talking to Jonathan and Joshua Sambrano. We're talking about the grass is always greener. Well, it appears to always be green until you get to the other side and you realize there's only frog and mud and water and all the rest of it. So we're talking grass is always greener.
This is manhood, and we're talking about the grass is always greener, or it seems to be. Now, this is for both of you all. Both of you all said, because of the absence of your father, what you aspire to be, you know what to do to be
Yeah.
a better father.
Before you say this is for both of them, you know which is which? which
Jonathan,
one is Jonathan? Which one is Joshua?
Correct.
Just checking, making
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Making that-
So both of you all said you know what to do different, right? Now, I challenge you into a question. If your father wasn't there, how you all know what to do?
That's a really good question.
I think that comes from a place of being empathetic in a sense. You understand what it was to feel left out, feel not neglected, but to have something missing.
To feel hurt in a sense.
Yeah. So you would want to do your best to fill that in the life of your child to come or whatever it may be.
It usually comes from a place of belonging, so to speak. So when you would give an example earlier about crime and whatnot, and how it's really hard for the single parent homes with only mothers and young children, well, young boys in particular. That when they look towards crime, to me, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it comes from a sense of belonging, a sense of wanting to be part of some sort of community, rather negative or positive.
You just want to feel like you have a place
in
in
something,
life,
so to speak,
where you seem to be valued, something that you long after for so long. Okay, these people accept me in some way. I would like to be a part of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you say to the young men who, without the presence of a father, may feel it's their fault, or feel neglected, or feel abandoned, or not loved? All the things that would come across, because at that point you're not really understanding what happened. You don't understand that it has absolutely nothing, for the most part, to do with you. It's just whether it be the relationship between the mother, the father, or the father themselves just couldn't
show up. Yeah.
couldn't show up for whatever he was going through. I mean, we're not here to judge, but how that then affects a child. And there's also, Johansi, as we say all the time, that a mother could never, no matter how much your mother loves you, how much she does for you, she's doing the best she can, she cannot be a father figure, which is where the tribe or the community comes in, an uncle, a neighbor. It's important to have that
Community
influence
around you to help you grow. It takes a village.
It takes a village. So
Yeah.
what would you say to those young men listening on, with regards to some of your experiences and how you went past that to now achieve to the schools that you're going to, what you're achieving at the highest level of in swimming, and who are some of your influences?
Perseverance and faith are two things that are necessary to hold you together. Perseverance, in the sense, is that nothing is ever going to be perfect. You're already in a broken household. There are going to be significant challenges to you and your mental health and what you think about from day to day. You may feel like something's missing. You need to persevere over those feelings and to try and make a way for yourself and to break that cycle of somebody not being present, because you know how it feels to not be accepted or to feel as though you're being thrown away to the wayside. So it's your responsibility, in a sense, to show up for the next person in line, to not continue that. And faith in the sense that you need to be optimistic and believe it's going to change. Even though it doesn't seem like it's changing, it's always changing. You rely on God in that sense. And even if you don't rely on God and you're not as religious, some people aren't. So in the grand scheme of things, you need to trust that whatever process you're taking, you're doing it step by step and allowing yourself grace as well. You can't be on yourself all the time saying, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that at a particular time. I had a man up. Not all the time it's about man up. Sometimes it's
You
about...
shouldn't force yourself into those situations.
Correct.
I agree with
It's
them,
about
because
taking
it
your
takes
time.
time.
Your research before you came here? Or?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I like they rattling this thing off,
All right.
like real
all right.
good.
So-
But what would, let me ask you something with regards to the both of you. The fact that you all are close, you're twins, you're twins, right?
Yeah.
That you feed off each other, that in terms that support is there. That
Most
if you
definitely.
if it was a, do you think that also plays a very key role in?
I do
Yes, it
believe
does.
so.
I believe
It
so
does.
as well. Having each other as a support system, someone to uplift you when you're feeling down, is always something I would encourage you to get back up. That voice telling you, come, I will be able to help you. If you can't help yourself right now, I
It's
have
like
him all the time
it's
for
like a
that.
crutch, so to speak. You know, when your foot injured, you have a little injury, you have a little crutch to help. It's like that to help you get back on your feet, to get your life going again. So I advise you to have companionship, but make intelligent decisions with your companionship. 'Cause
Correct. Don't just befriend any and anybody, because you will fall into whatever habits that they fall to. If
Exactly.
you surround yourself with them, surround yourself with the company,
No, but if
that
I'm
will
not
help you
feeling a
progress.
sense of belonging, I will seek it out.
Well,
And
correct.
that's understandable,
to
but
be
you need to be
intelligent
wise in your
in your
decisions
decisions.
first.
Exactly.
You have to think about your actions before you make them. You don't just, I'm not feeling like this. Your feeling is overrated. That's one thing I would agree upon. In life, feelings aren't everything. There are times where you just have to get up and get it done, regardless of how
Feelings
you feel.
are
So Jonathan, Joshua, that all this sounds great. It sounds utopian. It sounds nice from a book and Simon Sinek and all these other things, right? But the reality is that people are dealt certain things in
Correct.
life,
Yeah.
and certain people decide to go left, certain
circumstances.
people decide to
To
go
go
right.
right.
Yeah.
What and in your life, you're gonna make that's life, and that's learning and journeys, and you have each other, and you have a very strong, loving mother to keep you whole and to keep you to keep you on the
Right
off
track,
the
yeah.
beaten path, so to speak. But what would you say in certain circumstances, when those decisions are not easy, like I said, they're going to be people who
difficult
are
circumstances.
not good. And so far,
Who don't have your
Godwin,
best
you've
interest,
made
yeah.
it. Through your mom, through guidance, you go into a good school, you've studied. All the check boxes, all sounds, it's all good. A mother can certainly be proud, and I'm sure your father is also proud. Even though the presence
despite the
might be there,
circumstances,
despite
yeah.
the circumstance, I'm sure he looks on and he's proud of what you. But what happens in the other circumstances? What happens in decisions that are not?
So, an example of one, an only child with just their mother, for example, that's what you're referring
Well,
to.
like you see, what I'm really trying to get, without using the word, because I've used it so many times on these shows, the champion mindset. When you talk about the champion mindset, there's a mindset that someone says, I'm going to keep doing something. For example, if I'm to use Kishon Walcott, where he spoke about where his first coach would see him as an Olympic kid. So there was a glass ceiling. That's where the coach could
To
see
meet,
him.
yeah.
But he always thought of himself as much more than that, and he saw himself as a world champion. And he continued to pursue that until now,
became,
13 years
yeah.
later, he's become a world champion. And he was his own driving force through that. Not everyone in every circumstance
that driving
has a
force.
mindset.
Yeah,
And
that is
in your
true.
case, you have a mother and you have a brother who also keeps you whole and keeps you moving in that direction.
Correct.
But I keep saying, not everyone is going to be in that.
Yes.
What do you think is that if you could pinpoint it that keeps you sort of from making the right decisions?
It's a very good question, Robert. And
Thanks. I'm not so long there.
I would say that you need to find something that you like to do, in the sense that what you desire to be. It may be difficult in the circumstances that you're given as well to look for something to be hopeful for, but you need to find that. That is something that comes from the internal that eventually progresses outward.
Self-belief.
You need to believe in yourself that you're able to get through this life, this difficult circumstances, or whatever it may be, through something. It can't just be you sit down whole day and do nothing. The mindset, yes, you don't need to have the champion mindset. Yeah, I had to become this, that, and the other, but start somewhere.
Small goals, small steps into
So,
bigger steps.
for example, everybody has an opportunity, or most people, I should say, have an opportunity for education. Use that as the first step, because education is very powerful as well. If you're in this circumstance and you have an education, use it and maximize it to the best of your ability. Start somewhere where you could look for progress and earn towards that.
Exactly. And
But let
during that
me
education-
throw a curveball in there.
Alright, sure.
Not everybody has an opportunity to a good
Correct.
education. Everybody
I
has an
agree.
opportunity to be
Educated,
educated,
but not a
Yeah.
good
but
education.
not necessarily a good
Yeah.
education, because we only have a certain amount of students.
certain amount of
We-
schools
and a
and
certain amount
quality.
of schools that you
Correct.
call what we may call Ivy League, but what do you call it here? Say prestigious
Prestigious
schools,
schools, yeah.
as
Correct.
it's termed, right? The teachers are doing the best they can in those schools, in the circumstances, but not every school is, I'm not calling any particular names, would be seen as a prestigious
the
school.
best, yeah, correct.
However, what you do have is a mindset, as we're pointing out, where you're not sitting down in victimhood and saying, these are the cards I've been dealt, and,
Oh, yeah.
and therefore I can't do this. So therefore,
can always
if
make
you
a
can't
way
go
for
to a
yourself.
prestigious school,
Correct.
is there something else? Could you go and do a trade? Can you?
Yes, there's
could
always
you-
an opportunity.
different avenues of
there is
opportunity.
always a way,
Correct.
and we know
Always an
that
opportunity to
when we
better
get
yourself.
there, most time when people get there and they've achieved, they can always give the story
Correct.
afterwards about what you can do. But when you're going through it, when you're in that space, you know,
It's
when you're in that
difficult to
rut,
start. Yeah.
when you're feeling like, why did my father abandon me? Or when you feel like, you know, I didn't get this new Jordan, everybody else getting it. Whatever is your
Yeah, whatever that may be, yeah.
In the sense where you feel, what does then?
Along the same lines, Jonathan.
Right.
Notice I said Jonathan, eh?
Yeah.
Not Joshua.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Your answer.
What's the most difficult thing you ever went through in your life so far?
Thus far, it's probably been the experience I was referring to earlier, that mental struggle with trying to get back into my sport properly and feeling like as though I wasn't being supported or supported genuinely. I felt as though I was completely alone and that the struggle was just for me. Even though I did have my support around me, I felt as though, no way. I didn't, because I based my value and worth on performance. So because I didn't perform well, I thought everybody thought I performed horribly, and I was by myself. Nobody genuinely thought, oh, don't worry about it, you'll bounce back from it. I thought it was just me alone to go through the situation.
This is when your mother gave you the pep talk?
Yeah, that was afterwards. But during it took me a while to actually talk to her about it, like sit down and talk to her about it, because I didn't feel as though they genuinely meant that I was fine. There's nothing to worry about. You always do better next
And that,
time.
I want to hear, how did you come? See that space? That space between going through the feeling
Yeah.
and your mom giving you a pep talk, the point that you got to where you are, where you told her about it, that rut that you were feeling, where even though people were around you, because you know they say you can be alone in a space full of people, in a crowded,
Yeah, correct.
a
That's
crowded
exactly
space.
how I felt. No, yeah, that's correct.
Take me through that journey. How you came out of that.
Well, especially after I came back, I was like, nah, no way. Because I hold myself to a particular standard. I'm like, I obviously didn't meet the standard I wanted. My achievement was actually to try and even medal at my first grade. I was like, okay, I have the talent to do it. Let me try it. Was not the case. When I came back, the rot was maybe about 2 months, 3 months, significant amount of time. But how I dealt with it is that telling myself, well, to try and show up, raise my standard, and to prove it to myself.
How you feeling?
How I felt.
Yeah, what was the feeling?
I felt hurt. I felt disappointed.
You felt hurt.
Yeah.
What was the hurt? Explain what hurt you. Why you
What
felt
hurt
hurt?
me especially was that I didn't live up to my own standard. Because
So you felt like
I-
you hurt yourself.
Yeah, so to
Okay.
speak. I didn't live up to my own expectations, and yeah, that's what it really was.
But in that hurt, or you're not living up to your own expectations, was there disappointment? But disappointment not yourself. That hurt came out as a result of you feeling that you've disappointed someone.
Yeah.
And who's that someone?
Well, people around me, I felt as though I would, not necessarily owe them something, but I felt I had to show up in some way because they're all behind me, supported me. And then I go out there and something like that, and then it's just like...
How did they make you feel like that? We're trying to get to a particular... If did they tell you, hey, you have to achieve this?
No.
Did they look at you? Did they frown on you when you didn't?
No.
So why did you inflict that on yourself? Why did you go into victimhood?
That's a good question, I know.
I sit long in this chair, yeah. thanks.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So think about it, Joshua. Right? Tell me something difficult you went through outside of sports.
Wow, that takes me back a lot of years. I'm not that old enough, but it takes
I'm
me
not
back
gonna say
a lot
man,
of
so like
years.
back in the day,
Back in my
you know.
I
90
think
something, huh?
it
You
takes
understand?
takes me back to my childhood, actually, in primary school. Wow, boy. Now, okay. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, tell us.
In primary school, my personal experience, I didn't get along well with other people because of who I was. I still am this person, but I've managed, how do I say this, not to control myself, but to present myself in a way that would not be encroaching upon other people.
Who were you? You said because of who you was. What would you
I
describe
was
that person as?
a very overly energetic child, up and down, bouncing off the walls. Hey, yes, this, that. I know this, I know that, I know this. Hold on, wait, I know that. I was somebody that most people would call or deem insufferable because of my passion for what I liked and what I enjoyed doing.
Okay.
So say in class, Miss was talking about something, I'll just add on like 10 facts randomly, out of the blue. Yeah, okay, Miss, I know that, this, that, and this, that. And I could understand and see how that would shape other people to
So
eventually...
you've dumbed down yourself to fit in, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So you've dimmed your light.
slightly, yes. But with that I faced a lot of negative feedback from people around me, obviously, because that's annoying. Like be real, that's real annoying to be around.
all the time. So.
Hey.
And
to Joshua. Right.
right, and
Stand down, Jonathan. Stand down. Stand down.
and with that is, and just going through it, trying to make friends, trying to be sociable with the people around me, and being constantly rejected because of the label that was placed upon me. It was very difficult trying to feel accepted, and it came to a point where I was just alone. I did not have anybody to rely on. So, as he said earlier,
As who said?
Robert, as
Oh,
Robert said
boy, I
earlier,
know you want to say that sir inside of there.
I did my own light to try and fit in and to get along with other people, and doing that, it takes you to a place of questioning everything that you do and overthinking a lot. And just growing up that way for me, obviously, now that I say it out loud, it does not really sound like a very difficult circumstance compared to what many people might go through. But it's
Nah, do compare yourself
to other
others.
people's circumstances. But
You ever heard that saying about why try to fit in when you were born to stand out?
Yeah.
And a lot of
Other
times I
things,
understand social awkwardness and you want to fit in at that time because that your peers and your friends at that point mean everything to you. And I would even understand that I think it's the prefrontal cortex is not fully developed,
yeah.
at that particular point. So the emotional attachment
Is
is
what
there
is
where
you
people
go
will
on.
feel
Yeah.
a particular way. But when you get older, especially with your tribe, your environment, your mom, your dad, people around you, even your brother, to continue to nurture that is where you'd find out that skill, that gift, that behavior is something that might make you
Great,
a
correct.
unique leader.
And that is what I figure out now. As I said, like it was a learning experience for me. And it wasn't only just these students alone, like even some of the teachers, because of this label, they would treat me indifferently. And even my brother as well, he wasn't as bad as me, but there were times where I would get in trouble for basically nothing because of the label that I had placed on me.
With that social awkwardness or the perceived social awkwardness at that point, what was your reaction? Did you like, hey, glad that is not me kind of thing, or I want to be cool? Or
Well, it was a similar experience. It was a shared experience. And for me, it was like, why are we being treated this way, so to speak? Because we have to dumb ourselves down so y'all feel better. And I just thought it was unfair. Didn't necessarily think that was necessary. Why I have to experience that as somebody in primary school? What primary school should be experiencing that? It's a real thing. It happens. But why should I do that? Why am I going through
And I
this?
also think
There was
as
lots
well,
of questioning.
my drive for excellence and my competitive nature is something that also deterred people away from me. Especially
Obsession.
in primary school. When I tell you, you see the sport that I do now swim in, you could ask mommy, you could ask Johnny. I have been obsessed with it to be good at what I do since I was 7.
is it for acceptance? Do you think? I mean, you wouldn't have known then.
No, not for
But
acceptance. no, for
now,
myself.
do you think that's to not disappoint anybody because to
Nah,
be good,
for
you'd
me,
be
that was for
seen
myself. I wanted to make something of myself.
at 7?
Yes. Many people were like, but you're so,
So young. What are you thinking about this
By
from?
9, I was
Yeah.
I'm being very honest with you. By 9, I was thinking about how I could further my education after high school. I wasn't even in high school yet. And I'm just like, how do I do this? Oh, wait, this, because my coach spoke to me about this as well. Well, not directly to me, but to the group at the point in time in competitive, that swimming can be used as an avenue to further your education and to go further in life. And you could use it as a bounce pad to get where you need to be. Or anything else, right? And I'm just like, in my little head, I'm like, okay, I could do that. I could work hard. I've done it before. That's how I got here in the first place. I can get over it. But that, for me, takes a lot, though. It takes a lot to get yourself to that point where, yes, I have to do this for me. I want to do this for me. And also takes passion as well. And without that, you're not going to be able to do that. You need to have something, a driving force behind your actions to get it done. Because if somebody tells you, go and run 2 laps, and you're just like, why running 2 laps for? Yeah. But if you had to, okay, let me put it this way. Let me not get to that. Say it like that. Let me deliver it in a way that people will get this.
Now we understand in the end.
Yeah, I know, but like,
dumb down nothing here.
Exactly, and that is a good point. And we go into a break just now. Is that it seems like you're editing yourself because of what you think people may
perspective,
want.
correct.
Yeah.
And I
And
agree with that.
perception and
And that is
acceptance.
something that I've had to build out of and to be my authentic self.
Exactly.
Well, I ain't too sure yet to know because that's a question I want to ask you, but we'll ask that after the break.
Okay, no problem. This is Manhood, where the topic of today is the grass is always greener. Johansi, back to your question.
All right, so you're talking about that you learn from your experience in primary school that you now feel accepted. So I'm challenging it. Do you really feel accepted now?
Yes, because of my community and who I've involved myself with. Because of that experience, I've learned to surround myself with people who are like me in perspective and the values that they hold dear to them. So people, for me, who are family oriented and who genuinely show that they care are the people I gravitate towards, and people who are genuine in their actions. People who, because I say that because when growing up with this and experiencing this isolation and everything, I realized that many people might say something, but their actions show something completely different. They're always disingenuous with you. They might say, yeah, you're my good friend, but you get invited to the birthday party, we're going on there, kind of thing. Just a little example. And it's just like the people who you choose to surround yourself with matters a lot. More than anything else, the company who you keep, the surrounding and the environment that you grow up in determines a lot in your life, more than anything else. And that's what I realized out of that. So now, going through that experience, it has shaped me into someone that
You go ahead,
values this.
Alarm telling me something different there.
You know, values that carry over into other areas of your life alone. Because, how do I put this?
Just put it. Say, you know, as they tell young people, you know, use your words. You know, say it. I think like Johan pointed out, you try to filter. And you filter in for a couple of reasons. One, and I don't think it's because in this presence you're trying to you're trying to dumb down anything. I think you're filtering because it is something you've probably not addressed or you don't want to open up about at this particular point.
A little bit.
You know,
it's a little bit personal, but it's not something that I would not
why
afraid
didn't
to
say
share.
that? Why didn't say it was personal?
Because I want to be able to express it in the conversation as well. Because you asked me a question, I'm not gonna not answer you. You know. So I would put it across as a way where you could understand where I'm coming from, but obviously you're not gonna understand the whole thing. Yeah.
Right. No, you see, I understand what you're saying there, but that could also come across as disingenuous. Right?
Correct.
And I'm
I
putting
agree.
it that way because
I could see that.
No, I can't.
which is what I've been trying to say from the first segment to the second segment, to say all these things sounding real.
So-
Simon
so why
Sinek,
you didn't just say that
they
one
sounding-
time?
They sounding all great and textbook and all the rest of it because that is the wall. That is the in other words, it's a great thing, but it's also a defense mechanism. You've learned how to be the poster child, so to speak. You're doing all the right things, you're saying all the right things, and you're PRing, right? And that also, but you have it, which is great, and you're living it, which is even better because you get, and that comes from a lot of the stalwart, the powerhouse that is your mother. And mothers across the world, people don't understand. I tell people all the time, my mother raised 4 children. My dad was around, but of course working all the time. And my mom will say how she would travel and she has one check, my brother in one hand, the sister in another hand, groceries, the bags, the school bags, and all of these different things. And you're asking yourself, me with one, how do they do it? But that's what mothers are superheroes.
I agree.
So
110%.
110%, right?
110%.
And more so raising 2 boys who have turned out like you've turned out. But I'm saying to you that there are levels of trauma, there are levels of areas that you may not want to go back or revisit or address because it may knock you off what you think is the path
or deemed to be correct in the moment. Yeah.
You know, and that, but what I'm trying to get at is not to dig deep and pick off a scab.
Yeah.
It's to try and, as Johan said, to get away from being disingenuous as
Generalization
it may seem, because I don't think you are.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that there are many
comes
young
across
men
that way.
that are listening out there who
Misconceptions.
don't have what you may have, what you have, may not have the
So they
opportunities,
need to hear it authentically. Correct.
but also may not have the mindset, whereas you've taken it and educated yourself, you have a commitment, you have a mindset, you're doing well in swimming, all the rest of it. There are people that are looking on and saying, I'm not going to school. I don't want to do this. I'm not on my family. On a negative side, and that's the only reason why I'm trying to not pick off the scab, but sometimes you just pick a little piece off and you say a little blood to get to the moment to know that.
Okay.
because trauma, right?
Yeah.
As Robert said, none of us had a perfect childhood, right? So all of us experience
Some
something,
level of trauma.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not comparing because it don't matter. It's
everybody
by
has their own individual
situation,
circumstance. Correct.
right? So it's to understand, and sometimes that may not come in youth, but it's good at self-introspection. It's to understand how that traumatic thing, or I would say that thing that didn't make you complete, that unfulfilled intention, how did that shape you? And I asked the question, and to him, and then
Joshua.
I'm separating you all, right? Because you all also finishing each other's sentences, right? So when I'm devil's advocate here, right?
Yeah.
You all finishing each other's sentences could be a trauma response for both of you all.
Might. I think a little bit, but no, I think that's more so just because of how much we are around each other.
I'm
a
not
lot.
saying it is, right?
Yeah, no, it could
Yeah, I
be.
can see how
I'm
it
saying
be perception.
It
Yeah.
could be because I just changed a general statement now. It's not for you all.
But before you go into that, it's also to pull from the point that you are blessed that you are twins and that you are
Correct.
close. Because a similar circumstance, the way you all are speaking with regards to how you've come out certain circumstances is as a result of having that support from one another. If you were on your own in that rut that you were in, the
would have
period
been
between
significantly different.
because
Yeah.
the same way you didn't want to turn to someone else, you're now talking to someone who knows you, feeds
And
off
has
of
gone
you,
through similar
and has gone
experiences.
through something similar.
If not
So
the same.
therefore, you feel like, hey, I am not alone, and you're
Yeah.
physically, literally not alone with someone who you can say. You know, many people say it all the time. You know, I came into this world alone,
I'm gonna die alone.
and I'm gonna
Yeah.
die alone. But you didn't.
Exactly.
Who came out first, by the way?
Right. And I could see that too, right? And exactly
answer.
why I put in that way, because it generalizes sometimes people who experience trauma in terms of looking for belonging. What they tend to do, which I've observed that you all do, is you all try to predict what people are going to say and finish the sentence, because that is part of controlling
The
what's going to
environment in which
happen
it-
now. You
outcome.
see, right? So, and you do it more because it's almost reflexive now. Now, this is not an indictment on you all,
No,
right?
no.
And it is
Understood.
for,
It's an
for people,
observation.
But his
Yeah.
experience and what happened to him when he was 7.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what I said.
right? And for people watching also is that everybody does react to trauma differently, now,
ways,
right?
correct. It
I mean,
shows up in
I could give you
different
my example. I didn't used to say it, but I used to try to predict like 20 scenarios before going in a
Well, that mental
situation.
gymnastics.
Yeah. I was real good at that gymnastics, but I just give it manifests differently for different people. So being aware of it also, you could now understand, okay, well, this is why I used to do this thing, right? And sometimes realize, well, I used to do it when I was 10, but it may not be relevant when I'm 16.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, so it's to have that introspection. So even though your story may not be the same story as those viewing, it's just to be aware that because of who I am, many times it's because of sometimes I'm trying to compensate, for want of a better word, or I'm feeling not incomplete, but trying to complete it by doing this thing.
So
Trying to fulfill a void, so to speak.
Similarly,
Trying to fulfill a void,
Yes,
so to speak.
yes.
So similarly, like my voice is a deep voice, but again, same thing with regards to when it what you use crack broke at that particular time is not going to be something at that age that my peers just like you would understand, because again, remember prefrontal cortex. So when that happens, the first thing to come out is ridicule.
Yeah,
And-
why you sounding
Yeah.
so boy?
And why you sounding so, you know, or your long eyelashes, or different things like that is ridicule. But later on, it became an asset. But what also happens in the depth without that level of control, sometimes people think you're shouting at them,
Yeah,
or you're,
yeah.
you know, it's being
Being
assertive,
rude or assertive.
or you're
yeah.
being rude.
Or aggressive,
But then when you start to control it, it then becomes something different. So what my trauma response was is that I always give a preamble to things I say. So I'll give you maybe in certain cases, if I respect what you think, I might go through a whole preamble to what I'm about to say before I say something like, I don't like your shirt. Because I'm trying to give you
Yeah,
context so that you don't
respectfully,
take
yeah.
it in the wrong
Yeah,
way.
don't take it personally.
And that
It's
comes
not
from,
an attack
and that's
towards
a
you,
trauma response.
So that people don't think that, like what you said earlier about intention as well. So people don't think your intention is to come down on them, but it's to guide them towards, okay, I don't want to be like, I'm not like this, but I know you might take it like this, so I'll do this first so you can understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
What you all do? Yeah, clock in.
Clock that.
Yeah? That's exactly what it is.
Oh, right. Oh, look at us.
Before you go in, I just want to ask them, as I said that, the generation gap between, like
boy.
how you all laughed at that, right? The generation gap with your mom, people around you, and there's a lingo that's there.
Slang, yeah.
And do you feel that there's that in that sort of a disconnect into when you go, well, you don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And,
a
and
little
to us,
bit,
we're
yeah.
like, well, we are
From way before,
we
yeah.
are pre-social media, so we now trying to take on a whole other language.
Yeah,
I
whole
didn't,
new world for you, basically.
Yeah.
I didn't take on Spanish. Now I have to, now we're trying to take in a whole other language, bussing and cringe and
Oh,
all of these.
there's something. So
That makes sense.
So does that? How do you all look at that? Like, how does that?
Honestly, the adaptations are part of life. It's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. It's just
It
what
happens
it is.
as life develops. Like, you all had your own lingo back in there. I sure your parents just be like, what are you talking about, so?
Yeah, what
Kinda
song is that on the radio you listening to? Turn
Yeah.
that off.
That rubbish song you listen
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I never listened to good
All
music
older
before.
generations always think the younger
Yeah,
generations.
it's different.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, they mess up. But you know, they say, what's it, age is wasted on the youth? Or youth is wasted on the young, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, I never
youth
heard
is
that.
wasted
So
wasted
I
on
can't-
something.
yeah.
So
That passed me by.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, what a miss it or pass it, or I don't know. My head is all over the
Something
place today.
right. Well, I'm ask is that
Based on
grass is always greener. What I'm getting from you, and even what I've taken from myself so far, is that when you think you have to be something besides yourself, that is looking at the grass being greener, right? But it's really not, because you are who you are. But at an early age, sometimes that's difficult, because I think most of us want acceptance in some way.
Correct.
definitely.
Right. Where it
Everybody
is-
desires to be accepted and loved by somebody
With
else.
their own
for
sense.
That's
the
human
most part.
nature.
Correct, with their own sense of identity.
Right.
You know
And-
who
and
you
from-
are, and you're accepted by those for who you are, and not somebody different. You have to change
You're
yourself
not
to
synthetic.
be accepted.
Yeah.
All good. I always
Like textbook,
read all
textbook,
this textbook thing. But that's fine, because you see, you all are who you are, right? And as you're developing, you all talk about adaptation before.
Yeah.
And adaptation, to me, is the highest form of intelligence anybody could have.
Correct.
Because if you can't adapt, you wouldn't survive with
Not at all.
anything.
Natural selection.
Right? Perfect.
Variation biology. Yeah, you know that just today in our exam, actually.
So it's to know, right? And this for people listening to, is to know what about yourself that you're keeping and what you're getting rid of. Because even though
You have to
all of
change.
us
Yeah, you're bound
have
to
a
change.
trauma response, right? That trauma response sometimes is not relevant again.
Correct.
And when you're noticing it, and sometimes you don't notice it, but doing this self-introspection, sometimes you reach a point in life where you think, well, why always trying this thing and it's not working? Or why always doing this and this thing that I don't like always happening this way? Many times it's because you're still doing a pattern in your life that's no longer relevant.
Correct.
We reached our time now where we had to, you're talking about finishing each other's sentences, but we had to finish this particular episode, and it was a very enlightening one. And like everything else, you know, there's always more that could be said, and other fascinating
A lot more
questions.
you could
like-
go into.
sure.
Correct.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, more in depth.
So many different avenues. Yeah.
You know, to get in the mind of a twin and the
Experiences.
the experiences of that.
Yeah.
But what Joshua are your closing thoughts to persons listening on outside of our textbook? I want you to close our textbook too. And I want you
Outside of our
I want you to
textbook.
take away the, you know, whether it be some quotes that you live by, some moments of where you are now taking away that outlook or perceived outlook, because I know that's playing on your mind about, because I saw your reaction when you spoke about the word disingenuous. It was almost like your Hansi was your twin at that point, because you
Yeah.
clocked it, right? So what are your thoughts? And this is your camera.
My closing remarks would be that even in your own individual walk of life, there will be many things that you will face, many adversities that you'll have to overcome on your own. And despite that, you have to be able, as a person, to get back up regardless. And with getting back up, know that you're not alone and that you'll be able to get through it, no matter what. It could be the most dire circumstance. You will be able to get through it, and you can, always.
Jonathan.
You need to hold yourself accountable, even though, because it is what it is. If you're in that circumstance and you don't have the ability to change it, you have the ability to change yourself. You have the ability to change how you think about things and how you approach things. And with that, you need to take it step by step. if your situation could be so dire, but if you have a plan, if you can see what your situation is, have a plan for it, and take small steps to achieve what you want to, you can. And that comes from an indomitable human spirit, will, and faith and perseverance. Those things will help you each step of the way. Perseverance, especially when it feels real hard, feels difficult, it feels as though life is giving up on you. You need to find yourself and go back to your steps. When you have no guidance, always go back to your steps to keep you going forward.
Gentlemen,
Aye.
I appreciate you all being yourselves, right? It's always a pleasure to see, well, you all are not men yet, but to see men, we men, males interacting, because it's so diverse. And I for me, I want to always learn something new, hearing different experiences. And what I'm taking from this is that the grass is only greener because you think it is, right? Whatever you think is really what is the truth.
The perception.
Is your reality.
See, all you're doing it again, right? And we can't choose the hand that we were dealt,
Yeah.
right? We didn't choose the parents, we didn't choose the life, but you said natural selection before. It's up to you now to decide where you're going to make
Where
with
you
this.
fall in
Either
it.
you're going to be a victim in life.
Or am I going to be a successful person out of it?
Thank you for finishing this.
No problem.
You are simply the narrator
Your own story.
of your own story.
Twin boy.
That's as simple as it is. You, as you mentioned, you certainly can't determine, or you can't. You can't, and the word is right there.
But it's almost there.
Well, I hoping I want to finish my sentence. That's what I'm hoping for. I find like my triplets saying, like, because it not happening, or quadruplets in this
Just
particular
let me
case.
explain to you why that happened.
Yeah, but-
There's a reason why he stopped there. Because what our brain got accustomed to is you all finishing
Finishing
sentences. Right? No, and it's a real interesting
Yeah,
thing.
adaptation.
It's a real interesting
Adaptation.
thing. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
well, to misquote, or because we know what he meant, but I'm going to still use it, as young brother said, inch by inch. And we want to certainly take it and one step at a time. You said it there, Jonathan, just now. You could only be one step at a time. And remember, true to yourself, that you are not responsible for the hand that you got dealt, but you're certainly responsible for the next step that you take forward. And if you're living under pressure, you're living in the past. If you're living with anxiety, you're living in the future. But if you're living in peace, you're living in the present. And that is all. That is all you can control. And you can only control who you are and what you do and what you want people to emulate. And what you want people to think about you and what your legacy is. And above all, remember, God is the boss.
That
Amen.
is it.
All the time.
That is it.
You're the author of your own story.
Jonathan, Joshua, Johanse, it was a pleasure. This was a good one.
Indeed.
Thank you for having us.
The grass seems to be always greener. But remember, when you get to the other side, it's not always what you expect. But then even that, you got to make your own determination. Because again, you're not responsible for the hand you were dealt, but you're responsible for your actions thereafter. And again, remember, judge no one for their actions, but their intention. But judge yourself by your actions and not your intention. This is Manhood.
Manhood, brought to you in part by Lucas Aid and Solomon's Bespoke.